Guten Morgen, everybody. It's good to see y'all. It's good to be seen. And it's good to be with Paul Sjoberg. Paul Sjoberg, how are you doing today on this Boggy Update day?
I'm doing fairly well. It should be Guten Tag, man, not Guten Morgen, but that's okay. People could be watching this whenever.
Auf Wiedersehen. No? Okay, sorry. I was trying to speak. I mean, it just feels like a beautiful Bavarian spring morning as we're recording this, even though it's the afternoon and it's in America.
You're lying to everybody.
No, it's what I do. But yeah, it's been a beautiful day, and I've been excited and energized by that, and ready to discuss all of the news we have today, including a big story that I was able to write up and release for this morning about the Community Redevelopment Agency. And before you fall asleep, the Community Redevelopment Agency is really important because they are trying to build a nice little fun downtown in downtown Niceville, kind of in the area in front of the front porch, and Blue Collar Cafe kind of area. It's not the front porch anymore, but you know what I mean. And it's an exciting deal because I think it could really make some changes, and we're going to discuss whether or not those are a good idea, which I think they are. But Paul, you've had a chance to read over all this stuff and talk about the Community Redevelopment Agency and see them in action. What are your thoughts on putting one and finishing it up? $12 million project right there in the heart of what would be downtown Niceville, over there off of Bayshore Drive on the west side of town.
Yeah, I'm super familiar with that area. I've done a lot of research on real estate along Bayshore. So, I took a look at the CRA, kind of the original plan way back in the day, and then they've sort of revitalized it, and they're starting to put more than just pen to paper. So it's kind of exciting. Not sure about the $12 million number. I feel like that might be a little low, but maybe it'll go in stages. But I know a lot of the landowners in and around there are really excited. They want to see what it's going to become. And there's actually more vacant land down there than you would think. But I think some of the landowners are just curious on how the city's going to implement things and what it's going to look like before they start making their own investments. But obviously, I think it's a great idea. I think any opportunity for the city of Niceville to find additional areas to gather and have and celebrate community is a good idea. So I think it's awesome.
I think it's awesome because of the third space concept. And there goes my camera again, trying to pick up my microphone. Go away. There it goes. But the third space concept, right? Being able to go somewhere that's a public place that everybody is welcome and invited, that's not your work or your house, for building of, those social bonds, I think is really cool. And I think it's really important, especially kind of in a post-COVID era where we are kind of poking our heads back out of our shells collectively. Hopeful to see something like this. I know Third Planet does a great job of this. Bayou Brewing is another good example of a place where there's good third, place energy for people to meet and come up with ideas and get to know one another and become part of a really strong community. The other thing this is more of a pipe dream for me. But I would love to see a tourist ferry service in between like downtown Valparaiso and downtown Niceville as kind of like a kitschy thing to do. I know the tourism development department has a lot of money to throw at zany ideas because I've seen them do it in the past. And I would love to capture some of that and bring it over here. Thoughts on that?
That's an interesting idea, one that I hadn't really thought of. I think maybe it might be cool to do something from Fred Gannon all the way over to somewhere by the wharf or Emerald Coast Marina. I think that could work. Just something fun for families to do, especially those folks who don't have access to the water for whatever reason. They don't have boats or don't want to do paddle boards or those type of things. I think that could be something fun, and you could just run it during the season. And it'd be interesting to see if that worked.
Right on. Well, as we're going from city to county, we're talking a little bit about Mel Ponder, Commissioner Mel Ponder, District 5. So he represents the east half of Niceville, and all of Destin has announced that he will not run again for county commission. That means that the seat is pretty much opened up. And already one person has announced, Drew Palmer, he's of Destin, and has already got the endorsement. I think he had like an endorsement from Matt Gaetz within the hour of the announcement.
Wow, that's pretty good.
It was lightning fast, which shows that the
It was
Gates
like he knew
political
it was
machine.
coming.
That's kind of where I was, is that the Gates political machine is very fast acting and is very much still alive in very local Okaloosa County politics. So if for everybody that may have been here or gotten here in the last 5 years, the Gates family, of course, Matt Gates, congressperson, Don Gates, former Senate president and Senate representative for our area, have a lot of allies and friends here in this area. And so a Gates endorsement still means a lot here in this area. And I'm not so certain anybody's going to challenge Mr. Palmer with a Gates endorsement. But I also love a good competition, and I also love something to cover. So I guess I have a vested interest in someone running against Mr. Palmer just to see what happens and give me something to write about.
Little known fact, I went to school with Matt Gates as he went to Niceville High School, even though I think he lived down on 30A or somewhere else with his family. But let's talk about the real like heartbreaker in this whole thing is Mel Ponder leaving a highly visible and important position for the county. I love Mel. I've had an opportunity to spend some time with him. Him and his wife, Mona, are fantastic people. I know they're not leaving the area or anything like that, so they'll still be available. But he did a great job in that role. The other thing I really like about Mel is like he always mentions Mona. You notice that? It's always like my wife and I think that's really cool because they definitely embraced that position together. And so I'm excited to see what else Mel's going to do. Maybe I guess he's in charge of the real estate association.
Yeah. So he is the president or the director of the Emerald Coast Association of Realtors. And I'll just add to that, as a guy that worked for him briefly for about a year, I think, is that right? That sounds about right. No, less than that. Not the point. Mel's a really great leader in the sense that he is always so excited to elevate other people. And I think a lot of people are attracted to him, especially high performers, because they go over there and they feel like they matter. And that is his gift. He makes people know that they matter to him. So Mel,
absolutely.
If you're watching this one, man, like you rock, and thank you for not only, serving in the role that you serve in, or served in as a county commissioner, but serving in the role that like God made you to be, which is an encourager. So, big ups to Mel. Hate to see you not novice, but you're going to do great no matter what you do. So it doesn't really matter.
Thanks.
So we are getting a little bit closer to seeing some reclaimed water purple pipes over here on the east side of Niceville, which I'm really excited about. It's been a long time coming. They've been promised for years and years over in the Deer Moss Creek area, but going's been slow because they have to get 47 different permits from 47 different people, including, the Eglin Range, property office in San Antonio. Niceville's got to get on board. The county had to get on board. They're one step closer, which is really exciting because that means that water rates will come down substantially, especially on the east side of town. And if you don't live in the Deer Moss Creek section, this is still a win for everybody that's along that northern corridor of College. As you drop down that line east to west on College, you can make it also go north and south for a much reduced rate. You don't have to dig quite as many trenches, as it were. And it means less expensive water for everybody and reusable water. David Deitch had a coffee with the city manager about 3 months ago, and he talked about the water scarcity that we have in this area, and it's starting to get significant. And he's making plans to ensure reduction of water use, and reclaimed water is a big piece of that.
Well, this is not a sexy topic, but it's definitely one that's important for infrastructure.
Sir, how dare you?
No, sorry. Maybe we have like 30 seconds left on this one. We could just move on to the next one or something. But I know how important it is, the infrastructure. I know how important it is to everyone on the east side of the city. And of course, with the growth of Deer Moss Creek over the next, how long it takes to completely build it out. I know that is super important that we have all that stuff lined up and doing what it's supposed to do. So, if we want more housing, we have to have more stuff like this.
More sexy water pipes. That's how it's going to be. Paul, you have to understand, water pipes, awesome. Okay. So
All right.
there.
Let's
Anyway,
talk about how Florida Poly is stealing our president. Let's talk about
yeah,
that.
I'm not thrilled about this. Well, I'm thrilled for
Yeah,
Dr. Stevenson, which
it's good
it's
for
a great
him.
move. It's a good move, but the man has basically made Northwest Florida State College like low key a powerhouse in more ways than one. Brought in the airframe and power plant school. That was a big deal. A lot of reforms around workforce education came our way because of Dr. Stevenson. A lot of state money came from the state legislature and other points closer to Tallahassee over here for the nursing program is a great example. They got $20 million from the BP oil spill compensation fund to build a new nursing school. And a lot of that had to do with Dr. Stevenson. So I guess I shouldn't be like, oh, he's leaving. I should be like, he was so amazing that he got promoted up. But while we had him, he did so much here. So again, me giving big props to somebody that's leaving a post. Dr. Stevenson, you rock.
Yeah, he was amazing. I think he's going to do great at Florida Poly. I think he's only going to be their second president, and so he'll have an opportunity to put his fingerprints all over that university, just like he did here at Northwest Florida State College. He'll surely be missed, and just like Mel, like just monster shoes to fill. So it's going to be interesting to see who they pick to fill his shoes, because he definitely did for us and for the area over the last 8 years. And but also something I like to share what I know when I know it. But like he plays a mean piano too. He's a pretty good musician. Yeah, absolutely. I've heard him.
I could see
heard him
that.
play and sing before. So pretty cool.
Well, I know it's not buy sell time yet, but I am definitely buying stock in Florida Poly, not just because of Dr. Stevenson, but I'm working on this theory and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So, you have your West Florida, your North Florida, your FIUs, your USFs, all the schools that are not, like the Florida UF, big brand colleges,
Yeah,
right? I think that Florida Poly is the next big brand Florida college because they're going to want to pull from all parts of the state, right? If you want to be a STEM major, I think at some point in the great beyond of the future, we're going to see people say, well, if you want to be a electrical engineer, the best school to do that is Florida Poly. And I think they have huge upside. And I like the idea of grouping schools by academic field, right? So the STEM schools
sure.
together, or like New College being a liberal arts school. I think that's a great concept. I think it's a winning concept. And I hope to see that play out more in the future. So best of luck to Dr. Stevenson as he makes my dreams come true.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And then after that, one story I wrote this morning, Monday morning, the Royal Air Force, Royal Australian Air Force, and the Canadian Royal Air Force have stood up a new fighter squadron, which I'd say is jolly good. Very exciting.
I was waiting for that.
Righto. Good show, Bean.
Not even going to try.
All right. Well, it's too bad. Tut. Cheerio. God save the Queen. I think it's really cool because, I mean, it solidifies the relationship that we have with those partner countries. I think we have squadrons overseas, and to give them that kind of the unity that comes with a patch. I know that sounds really silly, but to move it from some sort of like directive, a piece of something, to making it its own thing here in the United States, I think gives those people unit pride, but also gives us, the locals, a little bit of pride of having partner forces here that are training with us on stuff as advanced as the F-35.
Yeah, it's great that I love, like, my kids have had friends that are from Australia and the different countries and the Five Eyes countries that are here at Egeland. I think it gives the local community a little more flavor and a little more diversity. So that's really cool. The part that was missing from your story, unless I missed it, was how many people are coming? How many?
I do not have a hard answer on that. Egeland did not put out a hard number. My guess is if it's a fighter squadron, I mean, that's several hundred people. I would think between the maintainers and the actual pilots and the administrative staff and the guy that's doing payroll. And then, you have to have like the Yorkie minders. I'm sure they're bringing Yorkies, right? Like that's a thing that they do.
I don't know, but I'm just saying we're going to need more. We're going to need more houses for them to rent.
And a bagpipe player. I would think they would have a bagpipe player. I'm just saying.
They can just fly that person over from time to time.
The answer is more dense housing. That's what I'll say it is. Which is a great way to bring us into our big topic. Community Redevelopment Agency is kind of ancillary to, I guess, the increased density of housing. But your thoughts on the Community Redevelopment Agency model that we're seeing here in Florida and a lot of places in Florida. Fort Walton Beach has one, Destin, Crestview, Niceville has one. And we've seen some mixed results, but ultimately, I would say somewhat positive as we've tried to redevelop these downtown areas into something that people actually want to be around.
Yeah, no, I'm bullish on all of this. I know when a government is trying to do something, there are lots and lots of challenges. And in general, personal and commercial entities tend to reinvest and get things done faster. But this is something that the city needs to do. And I think it's great because it gives just yet another place. We have our churches, we have Third Planet, we have the baseball fields, we have all these little local communities, the pickleball courts, and all these places that people gather. And I think it's great to have more. We need, the more the better. Get kids out of the house, get people out of the house, and get to experience our beautiful area. And I know there's going to be a lot of probably ups and downs with the CRA, especially if they're setting rules that some people won't like. I read the column and some of the comments about not being able to fish potentially off the piers and stuff like that. And some people aren't going to like that. But, I think we need to try to make it address as many people as possible. And I hope that the commercial entities will come in and support it as well.
I think that what you said about like the fishing, for example, is a great point because fishing is fishing is not a bad thing. Swimming is not a bad thing. But the hard part about being in government or an elected office, from where I sit, is that these people have to make a decision that benefits the most people, knowing that some people are going to lose out, right? And we have plenty of places where people already swim, right? And plenty of places where people already fish, but we don't have a really solid wedding venue or a really solid downtown that can be accessed by multiple venues or multiple transportation mobiles. What do I call that? Transport. Boats, kayaks, mopeds, bicycles, cars, all the stuff. And so I for one think that it's a great idea that there won't be fishing and swimming in that area because it allows for something that we don't have right now, which is a downtown shopping area as well as a place for boats to come in and park and, occupants to hop off and buy a bunch of stuff that's locally made or locally sourced. And then I think it just makes a more well-rounded community. And also, I want a water taxi, which I've already said in this podcast. So I'm pro that. Anyway, coming up this.
How long? Yep. Wait. How long do you think it's going to take?
The CRA?
Yeah. How long do you think it's going to take?
Man, like 10 years, huh? I mean, it's got to be a long-term plan. It's got to be something that's going to take. Like what I would think of as a 31-year-old is a crazy amount of time because it's a third of my life. But I don't think that's necessarily such a bad thing. I think that, measure twice and cut once. You don't want to mess this thing up and then waste a bunch of money, especially if it's grant money from the state that we need to see a return on. Otherwise, there's probably going to be like a clawback provision or something like that where the state wants its money back and we don't have it. So I'd much rather it take a little bit longer and we get it right than go full steam ahead and break stuff that can't be fixed.
That's fair.
What do you think?
I think it's going to take a while. I think 7 to 10 years is probably realistic to get it exactly the way folks want it. And I hope they take it in a staged approach. And if they do, I think that could be winning. I mean, you could you can put the cobblestone in down there and close it down on weekends and do the, different fairs and activities and food fests and everything you want to do down there. And that wouldn't take $12 million and that wouldn't take additional buildings. So I hope they take a phased approach. That's sort of the same mantra that you and I always talk about with that Strong Towns book, right? Make a small investment. Let's see if the community supports it and then build upon that. I think it's a solid and winning strategy. So I hope they kind of go down that type of path.
Perfect. And moving on to what's coming up this week. Just so you guys know, the Northwest Florida Heritage Museum's 48th annual Saturday in the Park is going to take place this Saturday. Free. It's got food and craft vendors, a car show, kids craft, a bake sale, live music. And if you want to see me suffer, you can get there at 8 a.m. for a 5K. It's taking place from 10 to 4 this Saturday, which is the 26th, that sounds right, 26th or 27th. I should really know this before I start talking. Anyway, the other thing that you'll want to know is
which park is it in? This is why I'm here. You need a co-host. Which park is it in?
It is in the one in Valparaiso. It's Lincoln Park. So It'll be over there by where it's not Lincoln Park. It's the one in the town square.
Over by the Heritage Museum.
Yes, it's like by the Heritage Museum.
So, and people sleep on that Heritage Museum. You should definitely take your kids there. There's a lot of interesting things, and the people who run it are like the nicest people on the planet.
And they know everything. Everything. The coolest part about that museum is the stuff that they're not showing. And I don't mean that as like they need to take new stuff out. It's literally like boxes and boxes and boxes of documents about the past.
Yeah.
And I think that look, if I had unlimited time, I'd be writing a book on the history of Oakland. I don't think we cover it very well in terms of the stuff happening before like 1937 when the Air Force Base was founded. Everything after that, like we know, it's every general that's been there and everything that's been tested and I guess all the stuff that's releasable. But the stuff before the advent of Eglin Air Force Base, I would say we have a lot of opportunities to learn, and it's all boxed back there. And I hope to live to be 120 so I can finish it all, read it all.
There you go. No, it's definitely worth going to see it with your family, and if going to the park on Saturday for their festivals, a good way to get you head in that direction, especially with all the free stuff. So bullish on it. Let's do it.
Everybody loves free. Other thing happening this week as we record this, it's Monday, but as you receive it, it's Tuesday. And that means tonight there is a showing of Chicago at the Maddie Kelly Arts Center. Go ahead and check that out. They always have really great shows there. And hey, supporting the arts is pretty cool too. At least that's what the cool kids tell me. And I believe them.
Yep, Maddie Kelly's starting to get some really good productions. People should definitely continue to support it. And I'm embarrassed to say I've never seen Chicago. I mean, I'm probably not going to make it Tuesday night, but maybe I need to step up my cultural game a bit.
My guy, I have not seen Chicago either, and I am going with my wife as a date night.
Good for you.
Yeah, man. So, I want to say I planned it, but like I kind of planned it, sort of. Like I planned like half of it. And so I'm taking credit for a very generous half. It's kind of like when you have a kid that wants to share something with another kid and they give them like actually a third. That's the half I did. So thanks, Abby, for actually planning this and letting me say that I planned it. I don't deserve that. Or you. Anyway, buying and selling with Paul and Saul. This week's buy and sell, I believe, goes to you first, Mr. Sjoberg.
Okay, good. I'm prepared, so it's all good. I am selling the fact that we're losing Mel Ponder and Dr. Stevenson. I think I'm so bummed that they're leaving their positions. Excited for both of them. Definitely excited to see what they both do professionally after this. But like I said before, big shoes to fill. So I'm selling the fact that we're losing those guys because they're just amazing. I'm buying the CRA because I want to see it happen. And I want to see another opportunity in a communal space. And maybe this is where I put in the teaser, Christopher. So I have actually invested in a piece of property here in Niceville, along with my good friend Steve Shutt from Moving Mortgage. Yep. So if you guys head over to Facebook, check out Central Partin, Partin. You'll start to see us leak out some information over time about what we're doing. But it's in alignment with what's going on at the CRA. It's in alignment with what has been done at Third Planet. I think it's just going to give us another opportunity as a community to get together and have a good time. So Central Partin, check it out.
And that's a good segue for my buy, which is the newest Strong Towns book. So Strong Towns, if you've been listening to us jabber on for a while, you'll know that Strong Towns is kind of like the local government New Testament, as it were. It is
good way to say it.
I mean, it's basically the roadmap for how to rebuild a town that costs the government less money to operate, provides more revenue, and makes for a good third place for people to be a part of a community where they love each other and help each other and get together on a regular basis and meet new people in their community. Strong Towns is coming up with a new book, and basically it's an add-on, as it were. They also did another one about infrastructure, road infrastructure. So anything by Charles Marone, I am there for. And I kind of low-key want to visit Brainerd, Minnesota this summer when I take my annual pilgrimage to Duluth.
Spring or summer. Summer. Do not go in the winter.
Look, people have been like, oh, but then you can come and see the hockey. Okay, bud. And I'm like, no, not okay, bud. All right? Cold, bud. But Brainerd, Minnesota, check it out. And then selling, I'm selling heat. I don't like that it's getting, it was cool this morning, Monday morning. But I know it's the last one, and that just makes me so sad because I know August cometh. And
our tans will get better.
But yeah, but I will say this. I'm also selling being lazy. I have decided to work out regularly. It is miserable after a 10-year hiatus, and I do regret that 10-year hiatus. Don't do that.
Don't do that. We'll just end the show that way. Don't do that.
You'd be like, hey, can I just sit around and eat candy and do nothing for 10 years? You could. And then your knees are going to start to hurt. And then you'll be like me. So don't do that. That's all we got for today, guys.
Right on.
We will be back next Tuesday with another episode of the Boggy Update with ya boys, Christopher, Saul, Paul Sjoberg. It was always good to see you. As always, it is good to see you. Why is it hard for me to speak today?
I don't know.
We do it.
My turn, though. Be nice, Niceville. See you next week.
Boom.